yesterday, there was planned meetings in Nakuru by one of the political parties, DCP party. The leaders were stranded. They couldn't access their various venues. They were involved in some altercation with the police. Let's listen to what they had to say.
Watu wengine hapa Nakuru wamekuwa kiwamdanganya. Wanamwambia kura yake imebaki hapa Nakuru ati kwa sababu hapa ni Rift Valley. Hapa iko kura ya William Ruto. Iko kura ya William Ruto. Huyo jamaa tumesema kutoka kule Western, Rift Valley, Central, Coast, huyo jamaa paka aende nyumbani, si ndio? Tunataka kuwauliza maswali. Leo hii tukisimamisha Rigathi Gachagua na William Ruto, mutapigia nani kura?
Nyinyi jeshi ndio mtatusaidia kuondoa hii mtu, si ndio? Na nikisema anapiga watu risasi akaniweka korokoro, ati anashindwa na kushika wanaume, anashika mimi, ananipeka kwa korokoro, ati kwa sababu nimesema msipigwe risasi.
Lazima tumpeleke nyuu, lazima tumpeleke nyuu. Na yule kijana ambaye hana kura, tafadhali mjiandikishe mpate kura ili tufukuze huyu jamaa.
Hawa ndugu zetu tayari wameanza kuingia baridi, wameanza kusema ati hata kura isipotosha sisi tutaiba kura. Inasema ya kwamba tayari medho hawa watu tayari wanaona kura haitoshi.
Okay. So unfortunately those people that took part in that meeting are not here to explain what exactly happened. But I'm just wondering, again, let me begin with you, Mheshimiwa Havi, because there will be many political parties and we still do not know the reasons why they were barred from proceeding. What is this and what is the foundation of this action?
I've listened to that clip. These individuals are evidently campaigning against President William Samoei Ruto. It's quite unfortunate. If you're an elected member of parliament, I think it is incumbent that you know what the law provides. Campaign period is specifically set out in the law. But that does not mean an elected member of parliament is precluded from accessing his or her constituency for purposes of voter sensitization, civic education, and informing the electorate on what they are supposed to do. That is fundamental. So as a matter of principle, I think both the camp of President William Samoei Ruto and the camp of former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua are doing it wrong. It's not yet campaign time. Don't ask me that what is your candidate David Maraga also doing. We're not campaigning.
What are you doing?
We're doing civic education and voter sensitization, which is permissible under the Constitution. That's said and done. We can't live like this. These individuals are all Kenyans. They're allowed to go wheresoever they ought to go, provided they're not engaged in subversive and violent activities. What we are seeing ought not to be permitted. So that if there is a crime they have committed, if they are likely to commit a crime, we better be informed why this action is being taken against them.
Yeah.
Mheshimiwa
Mbui, these are your friends. What are they telling you? Because look, there's an entire highway, but they have to drive on the side for them to pass through. And I also didn't know that actually these roadblocks can be sponsored.
Thank you. But first, allow me to also, and I feel that I need to say this, that Honorable Sosion said that the comments being made by some of the leaders in Kenya Kwanza is comedy. Now, you know, in the understanding of comedy, it is things that are said to make people laugh. I don't know what is laughable about what happened in Kenya in 2007, 2008, post-election violence, when we lost over 800 Kenyans and thousands were displaced because of comments similar to that, and of course, the belief that the elections were rigged. So I don't think there's anything comical about this. I think this is really serious business that we must take seriously, and we must ensure that we condemn, all of us, in the strongest terms possible. But I also want to condemn what is going on here. I mean, surely, Kenya is becoming a serious dictatorship under the leadership of Kenya Kwanza. That leaders cannot be allowed to go to certain parts of the country to go and speak to the people. I'll agree with Nelson Harvey that, yes, it is not campaign time. But, you know, unfortunately, it is very difficult, Sam, to define what exactly campaign is. Because when the Prime CS goes to a function, and you have heard him here say that, you know, it is very bad to say that to rig, but you know William Ruto will be re-elected in 2027. Isn't that already a campaign, you know, because of what he has done? Isn't that already campaigning? Every time we go to functions and we make comments about what we have done, that is already an attempt to campaign. So it's a complicated, there's a very thin line between what is general talk and what is campaigns. Even when Nelson says that they are doing public participation, when they are talking to the people,
civic education,
civic education and voter sensitization. The minute you mention that we have a candidate, that is already by itself some form of campaign, because you're telling the people we have the right person that can help the country. So at the end of the day, it's a very thin line between what is campaigns and what is not campaigns. Yeah. So these leaders of DCP have been traumatized by this government. You've heard Honorable Jane Kihara say that she was actually taken to, you know, arrested in her Naivasha home and brought all the way to the city to face charges because of comments she has made. Comments, you know, that are political in nature, because it is not a must that all of us support the president in office. Some of us don't believe he's the right leader for the country. That doesn't make me a criminal. That doesn't mean that I don't have my rights to what I want to imagine and what kind of country I want. And therefore, this business of harassing people using the police, you know, and these are the things that William Ruto told us would never happen in Kenya when he takes over. Because he said that they were intimidated and they were threatened, they were harassed when he was deputy president, or rather his people were intimidated and harassed. And he said this will never happen again in Kenya. But it seems like he cannot keep his words. He even said he would never harass his deputy president. He's already bundled him out of office. So we have a problem with the way the country is going. And I want to ask the police should be very careful, because the right of movement is one of the rights under Chapter 4 on the Bill of Rights. That you can actually move from one place to another in this country. You can even those places are being told they cannot address people. You can even go and buy land there and live there. So I don't know what laws that the police are using to block roads and tell people you cannot access certain areas, you cannot speak to people. If anything, what they're doing is they're actually inciting people more. They should have allowed these leaders to go and address their meetings and leave. And let me tell you something. Yes, it is possible there are people that are saying things that are unpalatable. But then there's also institutions in this country that should be able to do that. It is not the work of the police to police what people say. But there are institutions in the country that can call these people to order when you say something that goes beyond what is expected. Maybe if they think that you are going maybe your comments will lead to clashes or some division within the population. There are institutions that are there for that purpose. So the police should just let people go and leaders go and meet whoever they will meet and talk to them. And at the end of the day, that is a freedom that we have fought for all these years. Maybe that's one of the reasons why the children of this country are in the streets, because this dictatorship must stop.
So are you saying that Jane Kihara should not be being pursued by DCI, but instead a different institution?
But Sam, if you make a comment, a political comment, what does the DCI have to do with that? These are criminal. This is the Directorate of Criminal Investigations. They should be dealing with criminals, looters, thugs, muggers, thieves, you know. People that are involved in fraud. But politicians that are making comments that are against the sitting government, that is not a crime. I will say it here on the show that I am totally disappointed with the management of the affairs of this country by William Samoei Ruto and his cronies. Now, should I be arrested because I have said that? And that in 2027 I will not vote for him? And that I wish that he serves one term and leaves office. Will I be arrested for that? That's exactly what people are being punished for. So I think it's very unfair. That persecution has to stop. Let us allow people to air their views. But then at the end of the day, we will campaign and we will find our way of the country will stabilize at a point. But then when you say we are inciting anyone, let there be evidence of the incitement. I mean, if we tell people beat up others or fight others, that is incitement. Let that be taken to NCIC. Let it be addressed, and then NCIC can be the ones that prefer the charges.
Okay. All right. I'll wait to hear from the lawyer in the House. But first, so the High Court found in June that and actually ordered the following. A declaration be and is hereby made that carrying out of political campaigns outside the election period violates the right of equality and equal protection of the law, the right to life, freedom from violence, principle of impartiality, right to development, principle of rule of law, and free and fair elections. And an order be and is hereby issued directing the Attorney General to take the necessary steps within 12 months to enact a law governing political campaigns in any form conducted outside the election period. That was the finding of the High Court. This was on the 9th of June 2025. Mheshimiwa Asuncion, your thoughts about what happened yesterday? Because again, there's what appears like lack of fairness in the deployment of state machinery. So you find that on one side, actually, I think Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi is among the last ones to join the empowerment tours that have been happening in the country. So he went to 2 meetings during the weekend, and there's that talk of President Ruto will be re-elected. But on this other side, you're stopping, the state is stopping one other side. Why is the fairness?
I think, we must appreciate that, this country, there is freedom of association. It's provided in the Constitution expressly. And I've said time and again, because I've traveled across many jurisdictions, Kenya is a strong democracy. But I think the brand of politicians in this country should also be given some form of syllabus to know what to do when. That freedom of association does not.
That's syllabus.
I'm saying probably they need that syllabus so that we know what to do when and how, so that we don't violate law. For example, you are talking about campaigning outside elections time.
Yep.
And we're talking about incitement to violence. That is a gross breach of the law. And we have seen activities that we have had in the last couple of months, which the country, I don't think the country is ready to see violent demonstration, destruction of property, killing of people, raping of women. That is lawlessness. We should stop, pause, and reason as a country. And avoid being too aspirational about seeing the president out of State House. If you want to see the president out of State House, wait for the ballot box and vote.
It's part of the problem.
Wait for the ballot box and vote. So, to me, when I look at what happened, for example, in Nakuru, those members of parliament were able to address the public. They were not, although we saw some bit of drama also, which I cannot decipher exactly what really was happening. But I know in this country, there is freedom of association at all times. But there is no freedom to commit criminal activities. And nobody is above the law, including Jane Kihara, including Kituki, including myself. All of us, none of us is above the law, including Ombui here. And if you make a statement that can make Kenyans kill each other, that is a crime. That indeed is a crime. So in as much as we are given these freedoms, there are limitations. We don't exceed certain limits that are going to jeopardize the peace and stability of the country. And to what extent the police comes in, it's on the basis of violation of laws. When you violate law...
Do you think what the police did yesterday is okay?
Of course, the police, where gatherings are, the law is clear. And if you want to engage in any gathering, you notify the police. And probably those gatherings, the police were not notified. And the police have to come in to control and ensure law and order. That is what I would think. I wasn't there, I cannot witness. And I cannot record a statement on that even either. But you must notify the police.
If you want to use the road, you give notice.
No, it's not a question of using the road. Those are control measures.
They are blocked on the road.
The police can block the roads with reasons. If they are satisfied that there is a threat to peace, they can do that.
Mwalimu, I think the students will recall your teaching At this rate, they would call it.
Now, but for what happened, as far as I can see...
Sorry, just a moment.
No, if we are talking about that roadblock, you can see
Sam, I think you need a
they are moving.
on this matter.
Yes,
and you want to see the extent
of
what...
are misleading us.
I'm coming for
the picture is very misleading.
Not the picture, the teachers.
No, even the picture itself. You can see even that road, one side of the road is open. Those guys are passing by in a shit.
So
really,
you think they are
this is not
the other road?
No, the members of parliament addressed people, and we saw it.
Tear gas?
No, the reasons for the tear gas, there must have been compelling reasons. The police cannot use tear gas for nothing. So? I don't think so. Yes. Okay. So really, for us here, we don't have any empirical data of exactly what happened. But I can say Kenya is a country that cherishes freedom of association, and as we have all agreed, there are certain things, actions, like campaigning outside the law is illegal.
I noticed that
statements being made carelessly out there by both sides.
Just a moment, both of us are speaking, nobody can hear us. I just noticed that you're very keen on freedom of association. I don't know what happens to freedom of expression in your view, but at the same time you're saying that beyond the freedom of association, there is incitement to violence that cannot be allowed to happen. How do you determine that someone is about to incite to violence?
I'm not here for those academic.
You don't say that.
But then freedom of expression, again, does not mean freedom to incitement to violence and killings. And it's very simple.
So how do you explain that the DCP members were going to incite? How do you tell that?
I have not said they were going to incite.
So,
I've not said.
So what was the value of that?
I've not said incite. No, don't put that on me. I've not said. I don't know exactly what was happening. And the ability to determine where a crime has been committed rests with the DCI. Okay. These are men and women who are trained. They know the law. And outside the DCI, there are institutions like NCIC. It's known. And we have all these institutions in place.
The point I'm trying to get from you, they were stopped from holding a meeting. What is the value of that before an event happens? So that you call in DCI.
The involvement of the police, and we all know, if you want to conduct any meeting, I have been an SG for a long time. If I want to conduct demonstrations, I notify the police.
Yeah.
That's the standard requirement. Even in Mbui, if you want to conduct meetings in your constituency and elsewhere, notify the police.
Have you notified the police?
You don't wake up.
Here?
There's no meeting here. There's a show. This is a show. There is no gathering here that involves so many people that requires the police.
So
I think you're a refined lawyer. So in that situation, where huge gatherings were expected, and probably the police were not notified, the police would come in to ensure that there is law and order. Okay. And in this situation, we have only seen a roadblock and cars passing by. We've seen the members of parliament on top of cars addressing people, and nobody touched them. So we cannot empirically try and say, oh, the government is blocking people. That is a wrong assumption. Okay. And you cannot drive that narrative because it's difficult to sustain. Right. They went there, they probably did not notify the police, which is a breach of law, but still, nevertheless, they addressed people, they were there. But let us not create this same comedy, the comedy of dramatizing that, oh, the government is stopping us from addressing people. Government cannot. And I think this is a democratic country, we all know. There's freedom of association, you can move anywhere, but do a simple, honorable thing. Notify the police and do the right thing. I think it is also wrong, Sam. Let's agree.
That's okay.
We are doing politics. We are engaged. And anybody engaging in campaigning, in campaigning outside the campaigning period, it doesn't matter whether you're in government or out of government or in opposition or in the ruling coalition, it would be fundamentally wrong. This is not the time to engage in campaigning. It's a time to focus on other issues. Do a gathering, organize a meeting.
That's okay.
But let us operate within the law and the Constitution.
Now, I just want to inform you that indeed what you're talking about happened. We are not imagining things. There was tear gas at Kwakahiga, Subukia in Nakuru.
Why tear gas?
Yeah?
Why tear gas?
That's
the question.
Let me just tell you. DCP convoy tried to gain entry into Nakuru for a planned rally. and they had planned several stopovers along the route, including one at Kabazi, Mailisita, and Heshima in Subukia and Nakuru North. And police were heavily deployed along the route with roadblocks erected at different points to deny them from holding the meetings. That's what you're talking about. I was just trying to establish if you would know why that would happen, but it looks like you don't. Let's go to Nelson Harvey for the legal opinion, but also on the very stubborn question, who should investigate incitement to hate speech or whatever it is that he feels it should be NCIC, not DCI?
Now, the question that you posed to Mwalimu Sosion was targeted and deliberate. Is it fair to treat the Rigathi Gachagua camp in the manner in which they were treated, yet the same treatment is not meted on the camp of President William Samoei Ruto? Let me answer this with precision. The judgment of the High Court that you've alluded to applies in equal measure to everybody, to both the president and aspiring president. It is impermissible, it is unlawful, it's unconstitutional to undertake campaigns before the campaign period. Is it an answer that the Attorney General has not put in place legislation to effectuate this dictate of the Constitution? No. It is a requirement of the Constitution. The want of elaboration in the manner of its effectuation does not allow anybody to violate the law. Mm-hmm. So let's have this thing done by way of example. What is the government doing? Economic empowerment. There's nothing like an economic empowerment. That is campaign. Mm-hmm. You're using public funds to pursue a political agenda. Let development be cascaded in the manner dictated by the Constitution and the law. These members of Parliament have passed the finance bill with elaboration on how to use that money. And you see, look at these economic empowerment forums. Some nebulous characters whose location in the mainstream government cannot be identified. What is their role? Where are they getting all these monies? So that's said and done. Let's go to this issue of investigations. These agencies are empowered to do this work. But what is important is the role of the National Assembly itself. Mbui, you people have the power to oversight the executive. You have the power to censure them. You have the power to pursue motions of impeachment. You know, my very good friend, Senator James Orengo, did this time without number. When attempting to do that, was a clear ticket to land you somewhere that we do not want to talk about. He did it. He dared impeach the president. You understand? He dared sanction the deputy president, the vice president then. What stops you from doing what you're supposed to do? What stops you from calling the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Cabinet Secretary, the President, and everybody to account? You need to do it. You ought not to succeed. You understand? As Feroz Noroji, the late, once said, we do this for the record. What will the record indicate that you did other than these lamentations? Do something, please. I think I've answered the two questions.
Yes, you have. Only that it's still not clear where the divide comes in between NCIC and DCI, because there are those that are saying NCIC is pursuing certain leaders of what may have been perceived to be insightful.
Yes.
When it's Jen Kihara, it's the DCI. So what should happen?
I think the clarity is important. Investigations of criminal conduct of whatever nature, even political, is the function of the DCI. Yeah. You understand? But there should be no weaponization of this investigative action. Even NCIC may investigate, but who has the prosecutorial power? It is still the Director of Public Prosecution. Even the IBC itself, when it has to summon or take action, it must liaise with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. So for clarity, and if you're to ask for my legal opinion, the two fundamental bodies that have the final say on this matter is the Office of the Director of Criminal Investigation and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. Okay. But that said and done, these two officers must conduct themselves in a manner permissible by law. You cannot criminalize political activities.
Okay. All right.
You cannot criminalize social economic activities. And I think that is the reason why there appear to be some form of dissatisfaction from Mbui. Mwalimu here attempted to delve into the issue, but he was full of jest and comic that the topic was lost. I think the people have gotten the correct legal opinion on the matter.
Okay. Sorry, just a moment. I was asking that question because not long ago, there was a contest between the DCI and the EACC on who should investigate matters of corruption. And eventually, most of the cases that were taken to the court through the investigation of the DCI, they actually fell by the wayside, including one where you found that an investigating officer came out to say that they were under pressure. That is the matter of Rigathi Gachagua, which eventually was withdrawn. Now, Mheshimiwa Mbui, are you able to wait so that you hear what the president had to say, then you can make your rejoinder?
Which president, me or the other one?
Let's listen to President Ruto on where he thinks the blame lies, especially in raising children of the country.
Asiyefunzwa na mzazi wake, mnajua atafunzwa na nani? The police are trained to deal with criminals. They are not trained in parenting. So, if you surrender your children to the police, what do you expect? Please, the church, let us work together. Because raising the next generation of Kenya is a societal responsibility. It takes parents, it takes the church, it takes the government to raise the next generation of responsible citizens.
So parents must do their work to raise responsible citizens. How about when the political class behaves in a manner that is not responsible? Who raises them, Mheshimiwa Mbui?
Sam, the president is an expert at that, at finger pointing. And he forgets that the real reason the children are in the streets is because of his management of the economic affairs of this country. It has nothing to do with their parents. If anything, they are helping their parents because their parents attempted to make their voices heard, and he didn't hear. And so that's why they go to the streets. Now he's turned it against parents. And that's why we keep saying, why don't you listen to what the people are saying? These young men are unemployed. The education system is failing. Our health sector has complications. Why don't you address those matters and stop fighting the young? Because this country is actually theirs. Because once we leave, we exit and we leave them to continue. So they have a say and they have a right to their opinion. They are not getting employed. They are not getting jobs because I believe because of the tax measures that have been put in place from 2023. The cost of living, when you increase the cost of fuel, everything goes up. And I think those are some of the problems that the president is not addressing. So now he's saying it's not even just the children, now it is their parents. So I think the blame game, he's very good at it. I mean, the divisions, if we talk about someone who is very divisive, it is the president himself. You remember the time of the hustlers versus dynasties, that when he's brought in his first finance bill 2023, it was about those who have pay slips and those who do not have. Now he's decided it is parents versus their children. I mean, there's constantly one thing or the other that he will do. But allow me to agree with Nelson Harvey, and I don't like to lament Nelson. I want to tell you, President.
Like the Book of Lamentations?
I don't like. But then the problem I have, and I agree with you, what you've said is actually what I've been toying with. The problem is that there is a threshold that you require, a number of signatures for those motions to actually see light of day. So that problem is to get the signatures. We've been trying to do it. I mean, like for the president's impeachment, you require a third, signatures of a third of the members already to start off, and that's a law. So unfortunately, getting those numbers is even for the speaker. There's a threshold. I don't have that because I've just thought about that one now.
Do it for the record. Starting
is not the problem.
Start.
But now how do you start the process that doesn't see light of day? Because you can only have an impeachment motion when you have the signatures. You cannot have it if you don't have
That's laziness.
No, it's not possible to get the numbers right now. You're dealing with a very shrewd...
To be fair to him, he's explaining the situation he finds himself in. I mean, he has the show. So
he's explaining why he's lazy. We don't want any explanations why people...
Yeah, but I think
Harvey was a member for Westlands, because he'll probably be in the same boat with me, and I'll be asking him, so how will you get
I will be in a speedboat. I'll get that done pretty fast.
I think...
How will you get... You know the signatures of members, it requires members to agree with the idea. And members are elected even on our own side. Members were elected in ODM, in Jubilee. We go to the House and they jumped ship quickly, and they went to the executive. It's a very dicey situation. Avi, I wish you all the best. I want you to come to the House and learn the hard way. But, Honorable Sosion wants to interrupt me. Sam, Honorable Sosion needs to get another word.
Yeah.
The word comedy he has used in this show today so many times. And none of the things he's using the word comedy are laughable. He's even used the word comedy again on this thing of people being hit with tear gas and being denied their access to certain venues. You must get another word. Mwalimu, English is a very elaborate language with a lot of words. Get the word comedy out of your vocabulary.
Right of reply.
Right.
I think comedy is the right word still, because what we are seeing is comic when you are trying to create, to act, to look like, to play victim where you are not a victim, and excite the public. That qualifies as comedy, because we are a free country. That is fundamentally, and that is known. And I want to challenge Honorable Mbui, because when we look like we cannot do certain things without attempting, it is a big mistake. And I agree with Harvey. If indeed Honorable Mbui wants to impeach President William Ruto, nothing stops him from drafting the motion and collecting the signatures.
By the way, I'm drafting.
Nothing.
For
collect those signatures
I'm on record.
and take it there.
Yes.
Nobody has closed Parliament. Nobody has stopped the office of the clerk from receiving such. So when you take advantage in a show here...
This thing of asiyefunzwa na wazazi...
No, I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that because that is the main issue here at hand. So I'm challenging Mbui, and I agree. Why can't you attempt? Let us not come and talk on the talk show and elsewhere or in some rallies out there when you have institutions to do that. But on the statement of the president at the church, the church is a fundamental platform for enhancement of values in society. And the family is a central instrument that the church promotes. The message by the president was to the church and to the families that let us raise our children in the right way. That it was in the church. It was a solemn occasion. And talking about raising children is not a problem. That is one. Two, when we talk about those in demonstrations, and of course when the president said the police are not going to raise your children, the Kenyans who commit crime are Kenyan citizens and children and youth, for that matter. And so we cannot expect, and the message by the president is clear, I'm a teacher. You cannot expect parenting from the police. The police deal with crimes and law.
Is it true? Please, is it true that the young people are protesting because they are not raised right?
The president did not say the young people who are protesting. He did not say that. The president talked. No. Let us not twist data and information. When the police, while performing duties, will be handling criminals. Some of them are children. And when children are handled on the basis of committing crimes, the police cannot touch you unless you commit crimes. All of us. So let us not twist.
Please receive this information. Usiwache mtoto wako alelewe barabarani na mtu mwingine. Asiyefunzwa na mzazi wake, mnajua atafunzwa na nani. The police are trained to deal with criminals. They are not trained in parenting. So if you surrender your children to the police, what do you expect?
Amesema alelewe. kulewa.
He was
to be raised by the streets.
Referencing the protests on the streets.
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. That's your interpretation. It can be subject to extensive interpretation. No, let's leave the legal opinion. The legal opinion will spoil it even further.
Point quickly.
And what the president said, our children cannot be raised in the streets. Let them be raised by. Let them be raised by their president. It's about child caring. It has nothing to do with demonstration.
Okay.
No, it's not comment. It's not comment.
Sorry, President Harvey.
Sam.
Yeah.
God forbid. I would be a very sad parent if I'm put in a situation that the parents of that young girl who was doing her homework and got shot.
Richard.
It must sadden everybody. What crime did the parents of that young girl commit?
12 years.
What failure in parenting are they culpable for? You see, it is imperative for President William Samoei Ruto to do what Moi did at one point in time. Please disappear for a few weeks. Stop annoying the people of Kenya. These children will be adults tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. They're the same children who you will ask for their votes. It is their parents who voted for you. You cannot, by any measure of imagination, come on national TV in a church and make statements of this kind. It is deplorable. It is not consistent with the office of the President of the Republic of Kenya. It is wrong. It is bad. It should not be done. What you need to do, take the same microphone and apologize to the church, apologize to the parents, apologize to these children. That is my plea to you. You are my friend. I have your best interest at heart. Don't do these things. It's as simple as that.
And I think that's the best place to leave it at by looking at also the feedback that you've shared with us at CitizenTV Kenya. Sam Gituku, the hashtag to use is Citizen Daybreak. What are Kenyans saying this morning on the various issues you've spoken about? But, you know, politically we're heading into the wrong direction because politicians are easily dividing Kenyans along tribal lines. And if they are not tamed, we might go to 2007 we might go to 2007 way come 2027. Linus Gerald, Article 104 should be amended to remove the many bottlenecks placed on the recall process, high threshold, procedural complexities, and political patronage, as well as protection of initiators against backlash. The hurdle make it impossible. Okay, Mwalimu, every time I see MPs on sunroofs leveling accusations against the government, I wonder how fast the seed of dishonesty is germinating. They should start by telling us how they have used their legislative power to better our lives. Which pro-poor laws have they passed? MC Rumaz, people can exercise their power directly or indirectly. Recalling an MP who fails in their mandate is enshrined in our constitution. Most of the MPs are now rubber stamp for the executive. They don't represent the people anymore. And then Sheila Sweden, no room for failure this time. IBC must arrest ghost voters, enforce long overdue reforms, and take failures that rig trust, redraw boundaries without bias, and Kenyans won't tolerate another flawed election. Sir Nixon Dugire, IBC, I pray that you keep guided by the Constitution and the laws of our land. If you are to survive, you must choose the rule of law, embracing integrity tightly. It said that integrity is the key to understanding legal practice. Now, as the president is speaking about parents and the church raising their children, we have also seen how the political class has behaved, including the leader of majority, who over the weekend was going at a spouse of a former leader. So really, as we talk about all these things, I think we may need to quote a famous word, whole of society approach on how we deal with management of the affairs of Kenya. Raising children, but also raising our leadership. That's our time. Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa Robert Mbui, Mheshimiwa Wilson Sossion, and Wakili Nelson Havi for making time for us. We do this again tomorrow, same time, same place. Up next is Sporty Monday. Bye for now.